Good morning. Thanks for joining us once again here at Gulf Coast Weather Solutions. Meteorologist Johnny Lively for our Wednesday morning updates. Not much going on in the Tamco Live Doppler radar. As of right now, we see some radar noise going on. This a lot of times is the bugs and the birds are kind of getting active when the sunrise come up, so that's what we're seeing right now. Other than that, it is pretty quiet into our region. Going to use the mouse here a lot, but you can see there's that spin from Bertha that actually will be making landfall into extreme southeast Louisiana later on this afternoon into this evening. We see some showers, a couple thunderstorms getting in from Mobile to Pensacola region, but a lot of this is well offshore. I've been talking this for quite some time. Dry air and wind shear shoving all of these showers and thunderstorms. In fact, you can see some of the more intense lightning is well away from the center. So the center is somewhere in this general region. Here's all the storms. Very, very far away. We'll talk more on that in just a second. There again is Bertha. There's the center over here, but the storms are just, I guess they're not communicating very well because there's the center over there. This is where we're seeing all the showers and especially the intense thunderstorms. The heavy rainfall is well offshore. It's going to continue being offshore. Bertha has been kind of weakening the last 12 to 24 hours, and we're going to see that kind of continue because look at the land interaction that it's dealing with. Not only is it dealing with that dry air, wind shear, but it's also dealing with land interaction. So Bertha is getting its butt kicked right now, pretty much by all of everything that's kind of messing with it right now: the dry air, the wind shear, and the land interaction. But let's continue to keep looking on what's going on with Bertha. You can see that it's not the most impressive satellite imagery, but what we will be watching here is the latest guidance that we have from the National Hurricane Center. So we know that this is going to make landfall into extreme southeast Louisiana pretty much later this afternoon, later this evening. And then from there, we expect this to pretty much continue to keep weakening. You can see that there's pretty much still three different options here by the National Hurricane Center. Here is the third, I guess we'll say one of their first options. I don't see this happening. It is more of a northern route, so it makes landfall, goes far towards the north. I don't really see that one happening as much. We're going to probably see this be the more likely scenario. It makes landfall, and then it continues riding the coast. Might get back into the waters as we get into Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, and then this makes a straight beeline for southeast Texas, maybe towards maybe the Baytown, Winnie region, but again, really getting into interior southeast Texas. So we'll see this move into our region Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. So rain chances we'll see today, again on Thursday, and then pushing out by really Friday afternoon, especially by Saturday and Sunday. You still have this third option. We'll watch. Maybe this weekends and it really realistically dies, and then something tries to reform down shear because again, all the dry air and wind shear is pushing this further south. So maybe some type of mid-level circulation tries to form. Maybe we see something in the low levels try to eventually form. This is a very low scenario, so this is where we could see this actually go a little bit further southward. Maybe rainfall gets a little bit better. Maybe we see a little bit of a slow organization, but this is a very, very low outcome. That is the reason you see this cone still, I don't want to say large, but you see this northern option, you see the middle ground, you see the southern option. That's what the National Hurricane Center is still kind of showing you. Right now, this is where I think we go. We make landfall later this afternoon. We ride the coast, not really doing much, if anything. Southeast Texas, southwest Louisiana, some isolated areas, 1 to 2 inches, maybe up to 3 inches. We'll continue to see if anything happens on the southern mode, but even then, that will be even better news for southeast Texas, southwest Louisiana. We'd see actually drier conditions if it went further southward. Current temperatures right now pretty much into the middle to upper 70s, already getting to that 80-degree mark, thanks to our sponsor of Silsby Ford. And then what we'll be seeing, thanks to Modern Concrete, a very hot morning, very warm, muggy morning. By lunchtime, it's still going to be very hot. That's what we're going to be seeing today. Glenn Fry, one of my favorite artists by the Eagles, would literally say the heat is on, and that's exactly what we're going to see today. We get up to 99 to 100 degrees, heat index 109, 113, 115 degrees. It's going to be hot, but we are expecting some showers and thunderstorms isolated around 12 to 3 p.m. and then around 3 to 7 p.m. We expect it to at least get up to 40% coverage. And again, when these storms come out of the east, they can kind of get pretty active with the lightning. Again, here's all that moisture. We watch Bertha make landfall, rides the coast. Kind of looks scary, right? You got this hurricane or tropical icon right over your region. But again, all of the heaviest rain remains well offshore. So even though this comes right at us, we're just seeing the chance for some moisture, giving us some showers and thunderstorms today, tomorrow, and then realistically, here by the time we get into Friday afternoon, look at us already drying out. So by the time we get into Friday afternoon, especially Saturday, getting into Sunday, we pretty much dry out back to 10% or less coverage. So realistically, our best chance of rain is today with that 30 to 40% coverage. Realistically, we should get up to 40% coverage, 30 to 40% coverage on Thursday, 20 to 30% coverage on Friday. Really going to be that late morning, and then by the afternoon hours on Friday, we start drying back out and getting back into our summer pattern. And by this weekend, 10% or less coverage, thanks to our sponsor of Switch Electric. And then here we are looking at our futurecast. Hot, not much going on, but later on this afternoon, I think the timing on this is a little bit off, but later on this afternoon, getting into the evening time, again, we are expecting storms to come from the east. Should see this moisture give us a round of showers and thunderstorms. Should at least get pretty scattered, at least 40% coverage. Some of these storms that come from the east, just like we've seen this time this summer, they can continue moving into an unstable environment. So in other words, they will be some heavy downpours. They're moving quickly, but they should generate a good amount of lightning, can have some gusty winds of 35 to 45 mile per hour winds. And then by tonight, this all dies down. And then an early look for Thursday morning, not too active, but as we get into Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, this is where the center of Bertha probably will be. Here's the heaviest rain well offshore, so we can have some showers and thunderstorms moving into our region Thursday afternoon, coming in again from the east, very similar to what we see this today. And then as we get into Friday, it's mostly going to be Friday morning, and then by the time we get into Friday afternoon, we realistically start drying out. I know this looks very weird, right? I think that this actually does a pretty good job. So you can see 40, maybe getting up to 50% coverage between now until realistically Thursday evening. I'm just trying to show that those that do get rain, a quarter of an inch to a half an inch is pretty likely, not that bad. And then some isolated areas, you can get up to like Port Arthur, up to an inch, possibly up to 2 inches. You see this yellow, this is up to 3, worst case up to 4. So again, don't lock in. I mean, this could be right over Galveston, could be right over High Island, but just showing that majority of us a quarter of an inch to a half an inch with some isolated areas possibly getting up to 1 to worst case scenario up to 3 to 4 inches of rain, and that really looks to be right along the coast. But heaviest rain remains offshore. That's been the same song and the dance that we're going to see. And as this continues moving westward, again, we can see really right along the coastal regions, these isolated areas, 1 to 3 inches of rain is possible for really the Texas coastline. And that's really just about it. For the areas right along the coast, Bolivar Peninsula, Galveston, High Island, Sabine Pass, Cameron Paris, you know, we're expecting rip currents could be a problem, slightly higher tides. You could see some coastal flooding because the onshore flow, the 30 mile per hour gusts. But other than that, we're expecting minor impacts from this system. Nothing major by any means at all. This is going to be the big headline today. This is what's somewhat dangerous. Hot temperatures. Look at that. 104 degrees inland areas. Heat index is going to be anywhere from 110 to up to 116 degrees. Very hot day today, but we do have some relief from the heat. That 40% coverage at least this afternoon getting into the early evening. Thanks to our sponsor of Silsby Ford. Get you one. Then overnight tonight, we can have some storms in the evening, but once we get later into the night, it's going to be warm and muggy. Upper 70s to low to mid 80s. The air conditioning's definitely going to be working overtime. And then here's our forecast for southeast Texas. We've got the rain the next couple of days thanks to Tropical Storm Bertha. Keep wanting to call it Beryl, but thanks to Tropical Storm Bertha, we've got the 40% coverage today, 30 to 40% on Thursday and Friday, and then we start clearing out by this weekend. But look how hot it is today, 99 to 102 degrees pretty much throughout our region. Definitely stay hydrated and take some breaks. For Southwest Louisiana, we still expect kind of the same general thing. We've got this moisture, so at least 30 to 40% coverage the next couple of days. By Friday afternoon and this weekend, we start dropping back down to really 10% or less coverage. It's really Friday morning we see that 30%, and then by Friday afternoon we start really kind of going back to isolated. We're hot. It's July. That's what we see. In fact, we actually get hotter into July, mainly into August. That's what we do every single year. And if you want to, this is a good time to go download the free Gulf Coast Weather Solutions app. We're talking about a tropical system, which we're not too really worried about. We will continue to keep watching it. This is just going to bring us 30 to 40% coverage for some showers and thunderstorms today and again tomorrow. But this app will keep you updated around the clock, not only on the temperatures, what's going on with Bertha, almost called it Beryl again. But other than that, y'all have a wonderful Wednesday. We're going to keep you guys updated on Facebook, YouTube, and our app, letting you know when storms are moving in and the latest with Tropical Storm Bertha. Have a great Wednesday. Thanks again for tuning in. Y'all have a good one. We'll see y'all again tomorrow morning.
Gulf Coast Weather Solutions is sponsored by Thank you for making Gulf Coast Weather Solutions one of your go-to sources for weather around the clock. From heavy downpours and severe storms to winter weather and the tropics, we've got you covered with accurate, reliable forecasts you can trust.
Next week is starting to look a little bit more stormy.
But look what's moving into the state of Texas.
Gulf Coast Weather Solutions.